Okay, welcome to the Mad Empire team call. Today is the last Tuesday of May, which I feel like it has flown by. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and go over this crazy leaderboard because hot damn, you guys. Like literally last week, I think we were at 48 lives changed, and today we're at 65, which is so incredible. And so huge shout out to Christina and Emily, who are officially Emerald coaches as of Thursday, and we have a few more popping this week, which is so exciting. And that first rank, it was so incredible because I feel like sometimes we make it seem like it's so hard, and really you're just getting your business off the ground, and you have those two people, and now you have a team, and now you're going to start running. So on the board so far this month, Jessica, Alyssa, Sarah, Stacy, Megan, Tori, Christina, Chanel, Chelsea, Zoe, Haley, and Emily have all changed at least one life so far. And then one life away from Success Club, helping two people, is Corbin, Brittany, Samantha, and Courtney. And then at Success Club 8 is Lexa Davis, which means she's helped 4 people because each Success Club point, right, is 2, or each person is 2 Success Club points. And then crushing it over here, like look at it, these 20s. Melina's at Success Club 12. Gianna, who's never hit Success Club before, is at Success Club 20, which is insane. Madison is at Success Club 22, and I'm at Success Club 28. Just freaking awesome stuff, you guys. So that brings us to our coach of the week, which is Gianna. I mean, rightfully so, right? Like, she literally was at Success Club 4 last week on this call and ended the week at Success Club 20. Insane. I'm just so proud of her for just getting out of her shell. And it's cool that, like, I feel like she just went live on our team page, but just the shift from when she passed her personal training test, that confidence that she just received from that, and that just, like, limiting beliefs just out the window and just rocking it. So it's super cool to see. She is so well deserved of Coach of the Week. And then just a few announcements. 10 new coaches added in the last 7 days, which is awesome. This Sunday, the 31st, we're doing a What is Coaching call with Melina, Megan, Alexa, and I, because they are always the ones that show up on our coffee chats every Sunday without fail. And so I want them to be able to use this as a resource. So you guys can all invite to this. They're going to be telling their stories, and we're just going to go over what is coaching, super basic, 4 p.m. on Sunday. Again, the summer sale ends May 31st, so that $20 off ends at the end of the month. So that's a huge incentive and a huge push. I put together that push pod of all those women that are at Success Club 2 and 4 to really get over that edge, get those 2 to 3 more people that you need to make it happen this month, because I know you guys want it so dang bad, but sometimes it's just that decision. And then lastly, the Diamond Push group we announced today, which is super freaking huge, right? So that opportunity to be in that group is unreal. You can get a tank top, you can get into the Sizzler promo video, but more than anything, you're going to achieve so much leadership knowledge. Like, we're going to be doing social media audits. We have an Emerald Push. We have a Coach Sneak Peek. We have a Power Half Hour that I'm hosting in there. But to get into that group, you have to have 4 active coaches. You have to have 1 Emerald, and you have to have Success Club 2 by June 7th, right? So you have to be coming out of the gate, guns blazing, ready to make it happen. So that push group is going to be in our text pod right now. We're pushing for Success Club, and then we're going to switch over to get ourselves qualified to be in that group with Christina Delgado, Monica Lopez, me, Katrina, Melissa, Becky Brose, like superstar diamond coaches, $1 million club earners. Like, you guys can be in that group, so it's super awesome. And then just a few diamond watches this week. We are so freaking close, like all like 4 or 3 coaches away from hitting this achievement, which is so cool to see. And especially Courtney this week. It's her birthday today, so I don't think she's on, so happy birthday to her. But she made a decision. She reached out. She got her girls active. She's working her booty off to make it happen, and I'm just really proud of her. Lex is working her butt off. Chelsea's working her butt off. Sarah, pregnant, working her ass off in her virtual gym. It's super cool to see, you guys. So I'm super happy with all of that. Okay, let's get to our guest speaker. Super fun. She's like, what is that photo? Took it from her Facebook today. But she's been a coach for 5 years. She's in 3-star qual, all-star legend, taught kindergarten for 6 years, and she is a boy mama of 2. So I'm going to toss it over to her. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and you can unmute yourself. Sweet. There you go.
Yep, there I am. Hey guys, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for, being here and listening. I'm so happy to be sharing, although I will admit I completely forgot about this. I was in the grocery store and Maddie sent me a message. I was like, I'm so thankful because I would have been like 9:01 and you would have been like, where are you? So, but no, I'm here and I'm happy to be here and I'm happy that you guys are here to listen. So I'm just going to share my screen. Host disabled attendees share screen.
Didn't this happen to me last?
I feel like this happened. Yeah, I think
okay, I'm gonna make you the host. I feel like that helped.
Okay, there we go. Okay, cool. Sweet. All right, I still put my Canva like this way and don't put it in presenting mode because then I can't see myself or you guys and it kind of freaks me out. So I'm just gonna leave it like this. Okay, so thanks again. So I'm gonna start by sharing a little bit of my story and kind of go from there. So like Maddie said, my name is Brooke. I have been a coach for just over 5 years. And before I started coaching, I was a kindergarten teacher. And I went to school for 7 years for teaching. It's what I thought I was going to die being a kindergarten teacher. And so when I first got when I had first graduated, getting my first job, it was like the best thing ever. And I just gave everything I had to my job because that's my personality anyway. I'm a type A. And whatever I do, I like to do it like 150%. But especially being, I think I was 22 and I already look like I'm 12 and I'm like, I already look really young, especially if I'm not like dressed, wearing makeup like right now. And so I'm sure these parents of my first, second, third year kindergartners were like, all right, who is this girl who's like going to be in charge of my kids' education? And so I just wanted to be like the absolute best, perfect teacher that I could be. So, and I could at the time because I think my husband and I were dating. I think we were living together. And so we didn't have a mortgage yet. We were just renting an apartment. We didn't have any kids. I just had my little dog. So I could take the time to pour everything I had into my career. So I spent way too much of my own time and way too much of my own money on my first year teaching because I just wanted to be like the best of the best. So anyway, I poured everything I had to that job. I did, 12-hour days, and then I would still come home with bags of stuff to, correct or prep, and it's kindergarten. So I had to like prep so much stuff ahead of time. And so, when I would, after dinner, I'd sit down on the couch and do more work. And so if you can kind of, imagine, that lent itself to a lot less sleep, and which meant a lot less active activity, fitness activity, and way more takeout and comfort food and things that were easy. So, so I had started gaining some weight, and I did this whole cycle. I did it for maybe 3 or 4 years, and I just started to get to a place where I told you I was a perfectionist. I started getting to a place where I started thinking about the future. And like, okay, this is great and all, but I'm not sure this is sustainable with real life. Like if I were to have a family one day, how would I wouldn't have any time for my own kids. So here I am, I'm going to be here for 12 hours a day, taking care of other people's kids while somebody else is taking care of my kid. And then I'm going to go home. I'm going to be home at like 6, and I'd have like an hour to spend with my kids before it's like dinner, bath. Not to mention, I probably wouldn't have very much patience after, not getting a lot of sleep, spending all day with these other kids. Like it just didn't seem like warm and fuzzy anymore. Like, I don't know if I was just naive when I first started teaching and it was like, I'll be able to do it all. But the more I lived it, and I was like, wait a second, this doesn't seem like feasible. So I would talk to some friends, a lot of, especially early childhood education teachers are women. And so a lot of my coworkers, people I knew from school, are also moms. And they were like, yeah, you kind of half-ass both jobs. You're like 50% mom, 50% teacher. And like, that does not sit well with me. And so I just started thinking like, this isn't probably something that I'm going to do for the next 40 years. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, I taught kindergarten for 40 years and I retired last year. Like, I don't think that's in my plan anymore. And so I started I think that's when I started being a little bit more open to some different opportunities. And all the while I had been watching my coach. She went to high school with my husband. So she was one of those people, like I met her but we were like not really friends. We were like Facebook friends. And her posts were enough to catch my attention because she was living the life I had dreamed. Once I realized that teaching wasn't for me for the next 40 years, and I started to picture what I did want my life to be for the next 40 years, and which was staying home with my kids, I started paying closer attention to her posts. She was like living my perfect life. She was home with her two boys. She was like our age, so I could relate to her. She's home with her two boys. She was really fit, like she was clearly working out. Seemed really happy, but she was still earning an income. And I was like, okay, this almost kind of seems too good to be true. Like, what is she doing? And I realized after the fact that I was just starting to feed myself these excuses. And this is, to this day, this is the one regret I have in this business, is not having started sooner. And when we do like coaching opportunity calls, I probably 9 out of 10 of my teammates will say the same exact thing. But timing is important, right? Like the timing just wasn't right until it was right. And so I was just kind of watching her until I realized, like one day, like I'm just feeding myself these excuses. Like I can do it. If she can do it, I can do it, because I love her to death. And I would tell this to her face, like she's nobody special. She's just like me. Like she's just a normal like mom trying to, do what she has to do for her kids and her family. And I should say too, like it wasn't an option for me to just quit teaching. Like we can't live off of my husband's income. So I knew if I wanted to have opportunities down the road, like my kids weren't even like, I knew they existed in like my imagination, but they were like not conceived or like, but I kind of just had this vision. Right. And so I knew if I wanted options down the road, because I'm a control freak and I never wanted to be in a position where I had to go back to work because of finances, or I had to go back to work so we could have health insurance. Like I like to be in control. So I never wanted to be in a position where like outside circumstances were dictating my future. And so I started thinking like, okay, I have to make something happen now. And so finally one day I was like, screw it. Like I started thinking about, ironically, before I got my first job and started eating all my feelings, my husband and I had just finished the original P90X, like hour-long workouts, followed the nutrition plan to a T. I was in the best shape of my life when I graduated grad school. 3 months later, I started adding it all on back on. So then I was like, okay, when's the last time I actually felt really good physically? That's when I was drinking Shakeology, and that's when I was following those beach body programs. I was like, that's what Andy does. I'm going to do that. And so I was like one of those unicorn signups. I was like, I signed up as a challenger. I signed up as a coach. She didn't have to like influence me. Of course I waited the 2 years, but after that, once I was ready, I was ready, and I jumped in with 2 feet and I never looked back. And so, funny enough, 4 months later, I got pregnant. So it was like that vision that I had was now like reality, and it was almost like game on. Like the clock is ticking. Like there's no way in hell I'm coming back to this job once I have that teeny tiny baby like in my arms. It's not happening. So people probably thought I was crazy, but I would, I just hustled. Here I was, I'm working full time. And when I say full time as a teacher, I was working overtime full time. I was coaching part time, and I was literally growing a human. But I would go to bed at like midnight, 11 o'clock midnight. I'd wake up early to get my workout in before work. Not every day, sometimes I'd stretch the truth a little bit, but it very quickly overnight became my plan A. Like no longer did I want to teach. Like this was my plan A. So I found, like when you want it bad enough, like I found the pockets of time to make it happen. I definitely could have slept more, but I didn't, because I knew I had this ginormous goal, and I wanted to stay home with my kids so much that I was willing to pretty much do anything, like wake up early, invite whoever, do whatever my coach told me to do. I did it because that my goal was so big. And so I hustled. I was up late, early mornings. Instead of eating lunch in the teacher's room where all we would do is like, make fun of other teachers or tell stories about kids who were misbehaving or whatever, I spent that time sitting in my desk. I would shut off the lights and shut the door so nobody thought I was in there, so they wouldn't come in and bother me. And I would like, I'd be like eating in the corner, eating with one hand, and I'd be on my phone with the other hand. Like I just made it happen. I stopped doing all the extra stuff with teaching and spent that time with Beachbody because I knew I was not meant for teaching for the long haul. Anyway, so my son was born the end of April. Usually teachers would take like May, June, and the summer off. I took May, June, summer, and then the whole next school year because I knew I could do it, but I'd only been coaching for like a year while I was pregnant. Like I was so busy. I didn't get my business to a place that I could justify to myself, to my husband, to my parents, like, oh yeah, she's just not going. I knew I was never going back, but I couldn't like say that out loud. So I took an extended leave of absence. And then here I am as a brand new mom. I have this itty bitty baby. I was like, it's going to almost be worse if I've been home with him for 16 months and then I have to go back. It's like I've gotten a taste of exactly what I wanted. And then like, no way in hell is that happening. So here I am, brand new mom. I had no idea what I was doing, and I was still pretty much learning Beachbody. I'd only been a coach for a year. And I just hustled. I just did what I had to do. And so that I could get my income to a place where even if I wanted to go back at the end of those 16 months, it didn't really make sense. Like what we would pay for daycare and our dog walker and gas money. And, it didn't make sense anymore. So I've been home with my kids. I have a 4-year-old. And so I've been home since the day he was born. And I now also have a 7.5-month-old. So life is busy, but it's kind of cool because I feel like I have that unique perspective where I've known what it's like to be a coach while having a 9-to-5 type job. And I know what it's like to be a coach while having your kids be your 9-to-5 job and trying to work around that schedule. So that's my story. I think a lot of my hustle mentality and my motivation and my, stop at nothing mentality comes from two things. It comes from having a really strong why, especially a why that you have an emotional attachment to. And as new coaches, I hear it all the time, like, oh, so tell me about your why. I really want to help people. And that's great. This would be the wrong profession if you didn't like to help people, but wanting to help people is not going to push you to stay up until midnight just because you need to send those invites that you told yourself you were going to send those invites. Or it's, having a why of wanting to help people is going to allow you to be like, well, I can send those invites tomorrow, or I'll listen to the national wake up call tomorrow. Like you have to have this strong emotionally attached why. And if you don't know it yet because you're a newer coach, that's totally normal. I think it comes as you start to see what is really possible in this business. I think people tend to, like I had a new coach call the other day and they told me, there's 2 of them. They told me they liked helping people. And then I was like, oh, and I started giving them the spiel about how it has to dig deeper. And they started laughing. And I was like, what are you laughing about? They're like, well, that's not really our why. Like one of them wants to stay home and one of them wants to travel or something, but they're laughing because they think like that's silly to say. I was like, dude, I stay home. And you're making fun of me. Like I stay home and they're like, oh, I'm going to stay home and tell people I do Beachbody. I was like, that's what I do. You're making fun of me, but that's fine. So you just have to have that why that's going to push you to do the things when you don't feel like it, when it's not comfortable, when you don't think you have time, because that's what's really going to push you to show up. The other reason I have this, stop at nothing mentality is because I realized a few months into my coaching business that I'm actually on an inside dead leg. And so what that means is I get 0 volume help from anywhere above me. I get so much help, so much support in terms of trainings. And like I'm with Team Bloom with the Realmans and they're amazing, but I get no volume help. So when I kind of realized that at first, it was definitely a turning point in my business because I came to the realization that I had 2 choices. I could like just continue to complain about it and like give up and, not even try, or I could like shut up about it and just like put in the work, no matter how long it took, no matter how hard I was going to work. Because the other option is what? Quitting and waiting 6 months. But I had a baby in my belly. Like I didn't have time to wait for 6 months. So, and the more I talked about it too, I've learned that there's actually a lot of top coaches who are in that exact position. And it's actually kind of like humbling because it's like knowing that whatever rank, like wherever you get to in your business, it's like 100% you. And so that's just been another push, I think, to, you know, to have gotten me to where I am today, because I literally didn't have a choice. Okay, hold on. I'm drinking energy. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, I tell my team this all the time. I would love for this to be like a convo. I don't need to just like spew all this information at you. So if you have any questions, just unmute yourself. I tend to not look at the chat because then I'll get off topic. But I am just going to kind of run through. This is one of like the bigger topics that I usually talk about on calls and feel really passionate about it because of, you know, I tell you that story for a reason, because you can kind of see where I've come from. And like, I've always had that, like I said, that emotionally attached why, where I really never had time to think that inviting was scary, because my goals were so big and I wanted to get there so fast that like I was willing to invite, no matter if it was uncomfortable or who, like I don't have time to think about who I'm inviting or what they're going to think of me, or, you know, how they know me. Like I don't have time for that. So I feel like really strongly about inviting, because I will tell you this, you will not have a business if you don't invite. Like you just won't. You have to invite. People are not just going to come to you. So that's kind of my thinking there. So I'm just going to run through some inviting. So the bread and butter of this business, talk about why it's important, why it's not scary, how you can do it, making it a daily vital, and reaping the benefits of inviting. So I always think of inviting as like 50-50. It's kind of like half mindset, in my opinion, and half like the mechanics, like half of the actual invite process. But there's a mindset, there's a mentality that goes with it. And so I want to talk about that first. So for real, raise your hand if you fall into these categories. Have you ever been nervous to send an invite because you're afraid of what someone's going to think of you? Right? Like we've all been there. If you're not raising your hand, you're lying. We've all been there, right? You're wondering like, I know this girl from high school and she knew my brother and whatever, you know. Raise your hand if you have ever been nervous to send an invite because you're afraid, because you may think that they think you're trying to sell them something. Like she's going to think I'm salesy. She's only going to think I'm in it for the money. Money is, I could do a whole nother call about money. That's used to be a really scary topic for me. Totally, right? We've all been there. You don't want to sound salesy. You don't want to feel salesy. Raise your hand if you've ever been nervous to invite because you're afraid of inviting somebody over and over and over. And it's funny that I say this because I just texted my team like 4 or 5 screenshots this morning about this girl. We had talked like back and forth a bunch, but she never ended up buying anything. And then I had messaged her. I mean, probably half of them are invites and half of them are like follow-ups. I had messaged her 15 times in the last 2 years. And then she messages me today to ask me about the sale. So like, you would think I messaged her 15 times. She's going to be, you know, some people might think that she's going to be pissed off, like leave me alone, block me. Like she came to me, but it's because I'm still here showing up, and she knows that, you know, I'm in this, I'm very serious about this business and I'm here to help her. And so it just goes to show that like, if people get pissed off, it's like, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, I feel like. And so if somebody comes back at you like that, you're, you know, bothering them or whatever, like that's on them. But okay, I'm going to go on a tangent and I don't want to, but just know that if you fall into these categories, it's totally, totally normal, but we're going to talk about those more. So if you truly want to help people, you have to get comfortable with getting uncomfortable. It's just the way it is. Like, yeah, inviting, especially at the beginning, is probably going to seem a little uncomfortable, but that's totally normal. And it's the more you do it, the easier it gets. It's like any other muscle, right? The more you do it, the easier it gets. So 2 things. Most people are not going to say yes the first time they're invited. Look at my example I just showed you. I messaged her, and these weren't 15 invites, but they were 15 messages in the last 2 years. Like, so she clearly, the timing just wasn't right for her. She clearly just needed me. She needed to be able to see me more. Maybe she needed to follow my journey more. She needed to see that I am the real deal. She needed to see that I'm someone she can relate to. She needed to see that I'm someone she can trust. that I'm going to have her best interest, and I'm not just going to, take her money and be like, see ya, figure it out. Like, so through my consistent posting and sharing and, showing up day in and day out, she's learned that, I'm still a Beachbody coach 2.5 years later. I probably am in the know about the sale that's going on, and that I'm in a place to really help her. So you just have to remember that when people say no, it just means that the timing isn't right for them. Even though, as far as we're concerned, the timing for them should always be right now. Like I can help you, but it's not necessarily right for them, and that's okay. Just kind of like the timing wasn't right for me when I said no to my coach for 2 years. Like, the timing has to be right. So that's why you keep inviting them, because eventually when you keep inviting them, one of those times the timing is going to be right for them and they're going to join you. And know too that people are counting on us to change their life. Like, that's just our job. Our job is to invite all the people, to weed through all of the no's, to find the people who need our help. Like, that's just the position we're in. We're in a position where we're getting vulnerable, putting ourselves out there, because that's our job in order to find the people who need our help. And what's funny is I found when you change somebody's life, it's more likely than not that you're going to start changing the lives of the people around them. Like, I can't tell you, I work with mostly moms, how many times moms have come back and said, like, my husband started working out with me. My kids started eating the vegetables because they saw me meal prepping. Like, it's just a domino effect, right? So get comfortable getting uncomfortable. By choosing not to invite somebody, you are robbing them of the opportunity to change your life. So stop thinking about it as like, I'm going to be salesy. They're just going to think I want to take their money. If you truly have, and this is why it all comes down to being a product of the product and starting with your own journey. If you have this kick-ass story with the Beachbody programs and products, and you just like have this obsession with the workouts and the lifestyle, like, I can't talk about Energize enough. I literally am just drinking it all the time. Like, if you just genuinely have a love for the programs and like this lifestyle, it's just going to be a natural thing to share about it on social media. It's just going to be a natural thing to talk about it when you see your coworkers, your neighbors, your friends, whoever. And when you see it just as an opportunity to change their life, not like, oh my goodness, they have to buy something. Because think of it, turn it around. Think of it with you. Like, how would you feel if your coach never put himself or herself out there and invited you? Like, I cannot imagine. I would be working. I'd have 2 little kids and I would be teaching full time, and I would be miserable. It's not to say that, daycares or working full time, being a working mom is bad. It just was my personal preference. I want to be home with my kids, and I just know myself, I would be miserable. So I can't even imagine where I would be if she hadn't stepped outside her comfort zone and invited me. So just think of how you inviting somebody else could, change their whole future, not just the next 3 weeks while they do the 21-day fix. But you never know. You never know what the other people on the other side of your message need. It could change their entire life. You have no idea. So who are you to not invite them? Right? Like, who are you to rob them of that opportunity? It's up to them whether they're going to say yes or no. Your job is to give them the option to say yes or no, right? Because it's very rare. Like, that girl came to me today, but I had clearly been messaging her. It's very rare that people are going to come to you. They're just not. It's just human nature. So that's kind of the mentality of it. Like, that's where I'm coming from in the mindset perspective. Like, it's not up to you. It's up to them. It's your job as a coach to give them the option. If they say no, that's up to them. But at least once you've invited, they know that you have something to offer. So then moving into the mechanics part of it, which again, a lot of this probably is going to be stuff you've heard before, but I like to, I just want to run through it. Maybe something I say I always tell my team, maybe something that somebody else says, the way they say it, or the day that, you're kind of listening in a different mentality, that something hopefully will, you'll be able to kind of put towards your business sooner than later. So stories every day. I think, we all know you want to be putting in different clips of your workout. I think, what did she say on the national wake up call? No less than 3, but no more than 5, which I don't always follow, but just to give you an idea, like you just definitely, I think 1 is not necessarily enough, but to show what you're actually doing, like what is involved in that workout and that program. So you want to share your workout clips. You want to share your products without the label, that curiosity marketing there. You want people to be curious about what it is that you're drinking or that you're doing, that they're going to be, more inclined to either comment on a post or shoot you a message to get more information. That way you can hook them up with whatever is best for them, because it gives you that opportunity to chat with them back and forth and get an idea of, what is the best next steps for, where they are in their journey. Something that will add value to the person you're speaking to. So think about your target market, right? You should be adding people that are in your target market, so that when you talk about things related to your target market, people are, they're going to be more inclined to listen, and they're going to come back day after day after day. So like my target market is moms. So I'm not ever going to talk about like the single life and going out to like bars and stuff, because that's just not what I do anymore. I'm married and I have 2 kids, and I'm, really tired on the weekends, so think of the things that will relate to who you're talking to. I have a lot of busy moms who follow me. So maybe I'm going to share like free recipes, or, when the quarantine first started, I was sharing a lot of like toddler activities to keep your toddler busy. And, so if somebody sees that there's something that really speaks to them on your page, they're going to be more likely to come back to your page tomorrow and the next day and the next day to see what it is that you have to offer. Talk to your camera. I know it can be really weird and uncomfortable at first, but it really helps people to like, if they can hear your tone of voice, and especially if it's something you're talking about, like a product or a new boot camp group or something, they can hear your excitement. That's good. But also they can just kind of get a little bit more insight into like your personality that you just can't get from still photos. So just pretend like you're talking to your best friends. There was on a national wake up call once, she said 1 and done. I think she takes a video, and whatever happens, whether she's, she like slurs her words or she says 18 times, she does it. That's just real life, and that's like the way she was talking. So I kind of like that. I always have that in the back of my head. And then something I think we don't do often enough is talk about what we do as coaches. So people know we're a coach, but if you're not a Beachbody coach, I know I didn't. You have no idea like what they actually do. Like what do you do? Like how do you actually earn money doing this? And obviously the goal is to build our team and to add more coaches. And you're not going to do that unless you're talking more about coaching, right? So that's just a random little tidbit, is definitely talk more about what you do as coaches. So like, if you're doing a hustle hour, do a screenshot of your computer and then like list the things that you did during that time, or walk people through like a day in the life of, what you're doing, and mixing in Beachbody between like your other 9 to 5 and other, family responsibilities, that sort of thing. Posting on social media, think about who you'd be attracted to, and you want to, would you be more likely to follow somebody who like vomits, and it's not just Beachbody, say you're following like a Monet girl or whatever they are. If they're just only talking about their hair, like you're going to be like, okay, I'm over it. But if you have somebody who like has really pretty hair, but also talks about like struggling as a mom, and also talks about like her dog, and also talks about her anxiety or whatever, like you get to see that like the well-roundedness of her, and that her hair just happens to be one of the really awesome parts of her. And you're going to be more inclined to message her and ask her about her hair, but you're going to be more inclined to follow her because you see that she's like a real person. You're getting to know everything about her versus just hair, because if you're not into hair, you're not going to be following her probably for very long. So think about what you're attracted to. Whatever you're attracted to is whatever you put out there is what you're going to attract. So think about the people that you want to bring on as challengers and as coaches. And those are the things that's the way you need to kind of look at your news feed, your daily posts, your feed. Whatever it is that you're seeking, like whatever it is that you want, whatever kind of traits your dream coach has, like those are the kind of things you want to speak to when you're sharing about your posts. Well, I got ahead of myself. What you post about is what you attract, and your brand is the top 5 things. Obviously it can be more, but think of at least 5 things beyond just health and fitness that make you who you are. And you might have to dig really deep. And sometimes I surprise myself. Like the other day I talked about Grey's Anatomy on my stories, and I had so many people message me, and I had never really, like, I talk about mindless, I love mindless TV. I'll talk about mindless TV here and there, but I've never, I guess, talked about a Grey's Anatomy, and that spoke to a lot of people. So it's just like the things, and it doesn't, there's no right or wrong, but it's just the things that make you you, because those are the things that are going to allow people to get to know you that much better. And then when people get to know you, they see that they can relate to you. When they can relate to you, they're going to trust you, and that's when they're going to ultimately join you. So then you're sending these invites, right, in private messages. So you can post about your bootcamp groups or, your coach webinar or whatever, talk about it in your stories, but then also talk about it when you message people. Now, think about how uncomfortable or how weird or awkward or confusing it's going to be if you message somebody about your bootcamp that's starting next week, but you've never put anything about health and fitness on your page, right? Like, it's going to be uncomfortable for you, and it's probably going to be confusing for them. But again, if health and fitness is just a part of your life, and you have that love for the program that you're doing and the meal plan that you're following, you're just naturally going to share about it. So then when you message people about it, there's nothing scary about it, because it's just part of your life. It's just something you're doing. Like, you're not counting on this person to say yes in order for you to be on this journey, right? Like, you're on this journey with or without them, but you honestly have to have like the mentality, like you're kind of lucky to be joining me. Like, I'm doing this with or without you. Like, this is a really cool opportunity that I'm offering for you. I would love for you to join it, do it with me. So think about the things that you're going to be sharing or talking about in your social, like in your messages. That's what you want to have on your social media. So like, I relate to a lot of moms. And so that will be like my initial message to moms when they follow me or I follow them or whatever. We're talking about being moms. So if I never had my kids on my page, like, they're going to be like, you're a stalker, you don't have kids. But yeah, I do. You know what I mean? But they can see my kids all over my page. So when I message them about their kids, they're much more open to having a conversation about our kids, because they can see that I'm just like a normal mom and I have 2 little kids and whatever. And fitness is just another part of that. So when I message them about my boot camp, it's just a natural thing. But in terms of like the mechanics of your private messages, do whatever it takes to get them done. Sometimes, and I think for some people it's easier said than done, but make it a game. Like, tell yourself you did 20 invites yesterday, you wanted to do at least 21 today. Listen to music. Haley Christensen used to have her gangster rap. That whole like mentality she had about, she put on her gangster rap, she'd feel like a badass, and she would like, listen to the music and get her invites done. Set a timer. Like, I have 30 minutes. I'm going to do 30 invites in 30 minutes. Set a goal number. Like, I have to do 25 invites before I go to bed. Like, if you literally won't let yourself go to bed, you're going to get them done earlier, because that's going to be the last thing you want to do at 11:30 at night. A lot of times people ask me like, well, where do you get the people, a list of people to invite from? I really just invite from my story viewers. We know Instagram story views go away after 24 hours. If I have a really awesome, like a big high number of viewers that I don't want to like waste, I'll actually take a screen recording of my phone, like, and I'll screen record as I kind of scroll through the list of people who viewed that story, so I can go back to it like the next day. Facebook story viewers never go away. So you can always go back and look at that list. And then obviously your friends on Facebook, your followers on Instagram, people who are liking your posts. Like, you should never feel that you're at a loss of people to invite. That means you're not adding enough people to your network. So that means you need to up the people that you're adding to your network so that you have enough people to invite every day. But making it a game, setting the timer, listening to music, this all helps you focus more on like the timer, the game, whatever, versus what you're actually doing. So you're not going to have time to overanalyze, like, I'm inviting Susie, but she knows this girl and this girl's a Beachbody coach. So they might've already talked about, like, don't worry about that. Just message them, especially if they're taking the time to like your post, to watch your stories. Like, that is a green light to invite them. If they're taking the time to look at what you have to offer, like, you better believe they're going to be getting an invite from me. Don't overthink it. Just do it. These are just some example invites. I asked some of my girls before when I was originally doing this presentation. So like I put in, hey girl, just so I don't forget to, so that it's not blank, but I always will change it to their name to personalize it. If I can see their name based on their profile. So like, hey Sarah, I hope all is well. I wanted to reach out and ask if you had any health and fitness plans for the fall and winter. I have a few spots left in my virtual fit club, and I'd love to tell you more about it if you're interested. Like, my invites are definitely more like just short and sweet and to the point. And then if they're interested, that's when you're going to give them more details and go into more depth. Like, hey Sarah, I just wanted to thank you for consistently following my journey. So like, if you're seeing that somebody's following your stories or whatever, your support means the world to me. I was wondering if you had any interest in jumping into my next virtual bootcamp. And so when you put it that way, it's, like it's not like you're giving them an out almost. Like, are you interested? Yes or no? Like, if you're not interested, that's totally fine. Hey Sarah, I have noticed you capturing glimpses of my stories. Thanks for supporting my journey. It means the world. I'm not sure if you'd be interested, but I'm having an open enrollment for my next boot camp. This one's definitely a little bit more wordy, not usually something I would send, but there's no right or wrong. Is that something you might be interested in, or do you already have a routine working for you? So that kind of leaves the door open to a conversation about, what they're what they're currently doing health and fitness wise. So keep it simple. And I know there's different theories on what we call forming. Forming is like when you're kind of getting to know them a little bit before you invite them. Form, I think, is actually an acronym for family, occupation, recreation, and a message. So like, which is what I do. Maybe because I've been a coach for 5 years and that's kind of how I started. Maybe it's because I'm a mom. I don't know. It just kind of works for my niche. But my initial message is always about our kids. So we always start talking about our kids. All moms want to talk about their kids. Then we might talk about like where you're from or whatever. Like, we have a little bit of a conversation back and forth. And then I let it go, actually. And then when I see that they're following my stories or following my posts or whatnot, that's when I'll invite them. And I know other people are like straight and to the point. I'm not going to form. People are going to know what I'm trying to do. It just depends on what you're comfortable with. Again, I don't think there's a right or wrong. But keep it simple, connect, get to know them if you want to. And then if something's not working or you're feeling stuck or you're feeling bored, change it up, like get creative. There was a time there that I did all video invites. Like, I would just record like a 15-second invite, and I would personalize it for each person, like, so that it wasn't like too general. Do just a voice invite, especially if you're busy. You could do it while you're multitasking. Just change it up and try different things, because you never know what's gonna, stick with your followers. My new coaches always freeze when they invite and then somebody says, yeah, sure, I'll help more. I'm interested. Or yeah, sure, I'll take more information. They're like, okay, what do I do next? I literally could type this blind. Like, there's actually a bunch of different options. Would it be okay with you if I asked you a few questions so I get a better idea of how I can help you best? Like, I say that 150% of the time, always. That's my segue from you're interested and, now we're going to talk more about it, because then that opens the door to, I want to get to know them a little bit more. Like, you never know. Okay, so I started with the 21. I don't even know if I did, but 98% of my girls start with the 21-day fix. But that doesn't mean everybody's going to start with a 21-day fix. Like, what if you don't know, but the girl on the other side of your computer has actually been working out for 5 years consistently, but for whatever reason is leaving the gym and wants to work out at home. Like, the 21-day fix is going to be way too easy for her. And then she's going to be like, okay, this is annoying. So you want to get to know them a little bit, right? So it allows you to get to know them, but then also it allows them to see that, like, wow, like, Brooke really cares about, my success here. She really is taking a genuine interest in, my journey. And so they're going to like feel the warm and fuzzies, you know? So you want to actually, I always say that. And then these are pretty much my 4 questions I always ask. I always ask about their current fitness and nutrition habits, what they struggle with. You know, cause then that's where I'm going to learn like what might be a good program for them to start with. I always ask them if they've ever tried a health and fitness or fitness and nutrition program before. That way too, sometimes it comes out that they've tried 21 Day Fix and they either already have a coach or they've tried 21 Day Fix and they didn't have a coach and they were unsuccessful. So that when I talk about like at the end, like what I have to offer, I'm ready to come back with, yeah, it includes 21 Day Fix, but this time would be completely different because you'd have my one-on-one support. You know, whereas they might say, oh, I'm not trying the 21 Day Fix. That didn't work for me last time. It's like, no, this time would be different. I always ask like, what about time? Like, can you squeeze in a 30-minute workout from home? If they can't squeeze in a 30-minute workout from home, then, you know, I actually have had people who have started with like doing like 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at night if they had to. But it just, again, that helps you kind of figure out like their day, their routine, and about their short-term and long-term health goals. You know, we always talk about more, it's obviously more than just weight loss, but it helps me to know if they want to lose weight or toning, whatever their goals are. I can kind of personalize, I guess, my response back to them. So making sure they feel validated. I always use feel, felt, found. I don't know if you guys have heard that before, but it's exactly what it sounds like. So like, oh my God, I know exactly how you feel. I felt the same way before I started following these programs. I would literally go to the gym and do the same 3 machines. This is a true story. 3 machines because I had no clue what I was doing. And I always felt like people were staring at me. So what I found was that I do way better following these programs at home. Like nobody's watching and I literally just follow the trainer and get results. So like feel, felt, found. They're like, okay, like I'm not alone here. She understands how I felt. Like I can relate to her. She can relate to me. Like maybe this is a really good connection here. You know, it's just making them feel loved. So think about like what we're really selling, because anybody can go to teambeachbody.com and buy the 21 Day Fix or the 10 rounds challenge pack or whatever. What they're really getting, what you're really selling is the relationship with you and like what you have to offer and your support and then your guidance and, you know, getting into your boot camp and, you know, all that fun stuff. So think about it in that respect. You're not just selling them a challenge pack. You're really selling them the opportunity to change their life and to do that alongside you. Get intentional about why you're doing this. You know, think about like the people that you're inviting, like why are you excited to invite this person? And you will start to understand that or get a feeling for that when you're asking them those questions and you're getting an idea of like how, you know, where they've come from and where they want to go. And that's going to help you kind of relate to them and see what it is about them that you really want to help them with beyond just wanting to help people in general, like what it is about them. You know, you're not selling to people, you're extending the invite to something that changed your life. So like it's the domino effect. Somebody invited you, you've fallen in love. Now you're just paying that forward. Again, it's not on you to decide for them if you want to invite them or not. It's up to you to invite them and give them the opportunity to say yes or no. If you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. I can tell you that 100% of the time. So, and then this is kind of, you know, your opinion, but oftentimes like when my coaches go the forming route and they decide to like get to know somebody and talk to them about whatever, a lot of new coaches will say like, well, I don't know when to invite them. And my answer to that is like, when the conversation dies, just invite them. You know, I think new coaches overanalyze their conversations with people and they just will like start talking about anything and everything. And it's clear that it's just an awkward conversation. Like just invite them. At the end of the day, like you just want to get the invite out, whether you're forming them a little bit or you're just sending them a straight up invite, like just invite them. Because you never know if you're possibly inviting someone who needs this like way more than you do. Like you don't know where people have been. You don't know their story, and you don't know how much this could really change somebody's life. So, and you got to have fun with it. I always have to remind myself this. My super upline coach is Patrick Reelman, and he talks all the time about, this business should be fun. And I often will find myself in this like place where I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to do this. And at the end, not that it's not fun, but sometimes I get too far from the fun factor, and I have to remind myself, like, this is a fun business. And if I'm not having fun, something's wrong and I need to change something. So have fun with it. It's meant to be fun. Like the new people you bring on, and to see them changing their life and to see them getting results, like and then to see them possibly wanting to become coaches and then their success with that. Like it's fun. It's fun if you let it be fun. And then honestly, this is my, plan A, there's no plan B mentality. Like, what's the alternative? For me, if I don't send my invites, then I'm staying home, then I'm not staying home with my kids. And like, that's not an option. Like, so for me, there was literally no alternative. It was invite them or invite them. Like, that's it. So yeah, so that's it. I think that's the end. That's it. Perfect. Breathe.
Sweet. Does anybody have any questions? I just wrote down, like,
I would love questions.
Yeah, honestly, questions are always good. I know it's kind of late for our East Coasters and you too, so.
No worries, I got my Energize.
I know, how are you going to go to sleep?
Well, I'll probably be up working for a little bit and then I'll go to sleep.
Don't be shy, unmute yourself.
Who has questions?
Your screen. Maybe that'll.
Oh, yeah.
Look at their beautiful faces.
Hey, it's Sarah.
Hi.
Oh.
Hi. I'm don't have my video on because I'm laying in bed and it's dark in my room. But I just wanted to say thank you for sharing. I feel like it really hit home with a lot of our girls on this team, and especially me. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, that's so sweet of you. You're welcome. Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
Someone in the chat said, how do you not feel annoyed?
Again, that's just part of that mindset piece. You just have to be in this mindset that, like, you're not being annoying. You're simply inviting them to change their life. And if they're not answering you, but they're watching your stories and they're liking your stuff, like, they clearly have some sort of interest in what you have to offer. So it just goes back to, like, not feeling annoying. You're just doing your job.
Paying it forward. Absolutely. Favorite podcast and book?
Honestly, I like the Trent Sheldon. Is that his name? That his podcast.
Yeah.
I love Build to Last. I've read a couple of times. I'm looking over at my list. Trying to think of. I mean, I like all of, like, the Rachel Hollis stuff, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my list. I actually was just listening to the Energy Bus for the first time. I had never listened to it when I was a new coach. Building an Empire was a good one for, like, leadership. Yeah, all of I haven't read Fear is My Homeboy. Have you guys read that yet?
I
That's
listened
on
to
my
it
list.
on Audible. It's good.
It's
I think
good.
it definitely helps getting out of that comfort zone too, and, like, not feeling annoying and not feeling like you're bugging people, because truthfully it's just a fear in your own head that's made up. Because I can tell you the amount of people have told me no so many times, and then they come around, come around and say yes. Like, it's just the built up fear that you have about what you're doing.
Do you guys on your team listen to The Compound Effect or read The Compound Effect?
I have. I don't know. Have you guys read?
That's like a you must read as a new coach. I think it's huge as a new coach, The Compound Effect.
Sorry, my kids are screaming. You said The Compound Effect?
Compound Effect, yeah.
Is it by something Harvey?
Darren Hardy, I think.
Darren Hardy, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's like a new coach must, just to kind of get in that mentality of, like, how network marketing works and stuff.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a boomerang because y'all are dropping like flies over here. So
Yeah, message me if you guys have any questions. I'm more than happy to answer anything.
Your Instagram's Brooke_Reed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sweet. Easy enough. All right. Sarah's in the dark, but it's fine. Tori, turn your camera on. Yay, look at these bedtime faces. I love it. Okay, we're gonna boomerang, so everyone start moving. Ready, go. Sweet, love it. I'll talk to you guys. But thank you so much for spending your night with us, Brooke. We appreciate
You're welcome. Thanks for being here and listening.
it. Of
I
course.
appreciate it.
Bye, guys. Have a good
All
one.
right, bye, guys.
Thank you.